pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Victoria, to read the announcements.
April's session theme is organ donor
I'm just going to need some room here.
fire evacuation plan. Please note that in the event of an emergency, the fire department has requested that legislators and all others move at least one block away from the county office building in order not to impede the firefighters in their duties. Cell phones, please silence cell phones for the duration of the session. Microphones, please be reminded to use your microphones when speaking so you are recorded for the official record. Roll call. Allen.
Here.
Bartels. Here. Belfilio.
Here.
Berkey. Here. Briggs. DeLon.
Here.
Donaldson.
Here.
Fabiano.
Here.
Gerentine. Green. Here. Hefner.
Here.
Lapp.
Here.
Litz.
Here.
Lopez.
Here.
Lauren. Mayo. Maloney.
Here.
Parity John.
Present.
Parity Richards.
Here.
Roberts.
Here.
Rodriguez.
Present.
Ronk.
Here.
And Worrell. Here. 21 present and 2 absent.
We only have one birthday this month, and he's not sitting in his seat right now, but that would be Minority Counsel Chris Bergucci on April 6th. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to dispense with the reading of the minutes of the previous meeting. Moved by Mayo, second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? This month, as Vicki mentioned, our theme of the month is organ donor awareness, and I'm pleased once again to grant my good friend Butch Denner privilege of the floor tonight to discuss the important issue of organ donor awareness. I know our wonderful county clerk Nita Postupak is going to join him along with some other guests. You know, I always make mention of this every time we do this every April, that for all those in the room who are happy that I'm here in the legislature and who all are unhappy, he's either the reason or to blame for that. So, Butch, with that.
My friends, I'd like to thank the chairman, I'd like to thank the legislature, I'd really like to thank Nettie. She is unbelievable in help. I can't say enough about her. It's been another year. I am 11 years post-transplant. I've been doing this for 10 years. I had very little to do with it. As most of you know, I was working with Levon Helm. I got sick on a movie set with Levon and Steven Seagal. The crack doctors in Kentucky misdiagnosed me with leukemia and tried to kill me. So Seagal didn't want me to die on his movie set, so they airlifted me back to New York. And the great Dr. Book here in Kingston took over, got me on the transplant list at Mount Sinai. 8 years I waited for a transplant. You're gonna see me tear up, because I really care about this. 8 years I waited for a transplant. Sick, sicker, dying. My lovely wife over here, who wasn't my wife yet, but she fell in love with a dying man, was my rock, as was my faith. God was with me all the way. My wife was with me all the way. And after 8 years, and Bruce and Michelle Tuckman putting a prayer in the wall in Jerusalem, I got a transplant. And my wife said that I had life in my face immediately, after having nothing but jaundiced yellow. And I'm alive, and I'm happy, and I try to do as good as I can. I try to give back. I'm in touch with my donor's widow, and she says that even though she lost somebody in order for others to live, it makes her so happy that her Frankie, my donor, lives on in me and the work that I do. So when you think of donating your organs, yes, it's at a very sad time, a time of death, but like what just happened with Rod Carew getting a heart, And the mother of the donor, who he knew when the donor was 11, believe it or not, the mother got to listen to her son's heartbeat inside Rod Carew. So you're really giving life to more than just the donor recipient. You really are. You're giving life to families that you can't believe. My granddaughter is here from California, Allison. I would not have known her. The joy of being a grandfather. My son's here too, of course, Gabe. They flew in today. For all you people who believe in unions, he's a good union man. That's a longshoreman right there. But as we know, a lot of us here have gone through things in our life, in our families, of illness, and the despair you face. Well, let me tell you something. Life is beautiful. Life is good. Today, Nina and I did a open house downstairs at the DMV. 80% of New York State's registrations for donor awareness come through a DMV. And Nina's going to speak about the new law and how it's going to help New York. New York is 50 out of 50 states, lowest in the nation for organ donation. We are the third neediest for organ donation. People die every 15 minutes. Every 22 minutes, people are added to the list. There's 10,000 people in New York waiting for a transplant. You can be a living donor. People here in Kingston, a sister, Tara, gave her other sister, Tiffany, a piece of her liver. The liver regenerated inside of her. You can give kidneys. You can give life while you're still living. You don't have to wait. But there are so many misunderstandings about organ donation. The doctors will still care for you up until the very end. The people who harvest your organs are different than the people who take care of your life. We have Shana Kay who's going to speak. She's from New York State. She's the director of the Center for Donation and Transplant, the people that work with the families. So please, I have keychains that'll remind you. I have bookmarks. I have the literature. You have any fears, any misunderstandings, talk to us. I want to introduce everybody's good friend, Krista Cruz, the late Chief Tony Cruz's wife. Tony was a liver transplant, and a lot of people don't realize it, but he did not pass from a liver disease. He passed from a cancer. So his liver transplant gave you, what, another year of life together? God bless you. But like I said, there's many ways of giving while you're alive. Mary Ellen and Dan Roth are here, local people, and Mary Ellen's going to come up and tell her story about kidney transplant and how she's here with us today because of living donors. Please come on up.
Hi, I'm Mary Ellen Roth, and I'm 5 years with my new kidney. And this is the first time ever. Bear with me, because I'm not used to this. In 1994, I was diagnosed with polycystic kidney and liver disease. It's hereditary. My mom was 30 when she passed away from it, and they didn't have dialysis then. They didn't have what they have now. And I thought it was a death sentence. I had a year pity party, and then I moved on with my life. And things really didn't start to get rocky or get rockin' until 2008. I had my first liver kidney surgery. And then it wasn't until 2011 that I actually started to run out of room. So I had a kidney removed, and all within 2011 I had a kidney removed. I went on dialysis. I was lucky. I was only on dialysis for about 6 months. Very lucky, very blessed. But the reason that happened was because I was dating a wonderful man who's now my husband. His first wife passed away from cancer, and there was nothing he could do for her, but he could help me. He did not match me, so he couldn't give to me, but he gave to the pool. And he knew that by just giving up a kidney to the pool, he'd be fine with his one, and that would bump me up on the list. 4 days later, I got the call. I was supposed to go and pick him up and bring him home and take care of him. We were both in Albany Medical Center, and the nurses put us in a honeymoon suite. They were wonderful. So I'm doing great. I mean, there's hiccups all along the way, and that's just part of it. We were fortunate enough to meet Dan's recipient, Laura, who lives in Albany, and she wasn't so lucky to get to be on dialysis. She was very ill. She was just getting ill and more ill and just waiting for a kidney before she thought she would pass. And she's smaller than me, and my husband's 6'3", and she has this turbo kidney in her, and she's doing wonderful. And it's really wonderful that we've got to meet her and get to know her. After that, after the transplant, Dan and I started to plan a wedding. And because of what all transpired, the whole theme of the wedding was donation. Donation bracelets, donation keychains, and the green color, and everything just revolved around it, and it was just a wonderful, wonderful time. I just want to say that I have PKD, polycystic kidney and liver disease, and that currently is the 4th leading cause of kidney failure. But, obviously there's a lot more reasons that people need donations. And I don't know if anyone's gotten a chance to see the movie Seven with Will Smith, but it's an awesome movie and it should be seen by all. He touched so many lives, and I don't think I could express what's seen in that movie and do it justice, so I would just suggest that you see it. I'm very grateful to be here. I'm doing well, and July is going to be my 6th year. I was one of the lucky ones. I mean, only having 6 months on dialysis, what a blessing. And even then, I was probably the healthiest ones at the dialysis center. I just wanted to end with something that was in today's paper. Knowing I was coming here to talk to you about donation and how important it is, I'm going to read to you what was in today's paper. It says, "Thank you for publishing a recent letter from a person in need of a kidney transplant. Kidney disease does not get the attention it deserves. 31 million people, babies, young children, teenagers, adults, and senior citizens are dealing with this illness. Some aren't even aware that they have the disease until the symptoms appear. There's no cure for kidney failure. On January 6th, my sister died from complications of her kidney failure. Her last 2 years were not quality years. Even dialysis has devastating side effects. She was in and out of the hospital too many times, and she fought long and hard. She leaves behind a young teenage daughter and a husband who stood by her side every step of the way. As her sister, I could not sit by and watch her suffer. I tried everything to find her a living donor. I purchased a billboard where she lived. I posted on Facebook. I put my request on the back window of my car. I did radio, newspaper, and TV interviews on her behalf because my sister and her family were financially, mentally, and physically exhausted. The transplant hospitals do not look for living donors for those in need. This is the responsibility of the family. I will always wonder what else I could have done. Like my sister, some become too sick or die before getting a second chance at life, and my beautiful sister is just a statistic now. There are currently 98,000 people on the kidney transplant waiting list. I know people who are registered organ donors, but this is not enough. Take it one step further and be tested as a living kidney donor. If you don't know where to start, call your local hospital and the centers that it works with. Please don't put this off. There are too many people who are waiting to get the call. And this was in today's Freeman, of all days for me to be reading this. Thank you for all being here and for listening.
gets old. It's April. Pretty soon, we'll have proms, we'll have graduations, and we'll have car accidents. Unfortunately, that's how we get organs sometimes. And it was a loss because we were not allowed to have younger people become donors. And Nina Posterpak is gonna come up. Man, there's nobody better in our government, with all due respect to all y'all, than Nina. I can't tell you enough of how supportive, and the DMV helped sign up people today. Possibly lives were saved today because Nina had the entire department helping. So Nina, come up and speak and know that I love
That man is why I'm standing here tonight. He makes me humble. What can I say that Mary Ellen said, that Butch says? My message is really simple. We need, every single one of us, we need to raise awareness for organ donation. That is why our DMV office has teamed up with the New York State Alliance for Donation and DMV offices throughout New York State to raise awareness for organ donation and for April being Organ Donor Month. Butch gave some statistics, but I think it's worth mentioning those statistics again. More than 600 New Yorkers died from causes last year that they could have been treated with if they had a donated organ. 600. 10,000 New Yorkers are currently on the list for organ donation. And in Ulster County, this is a surprising statistic, and this is where we, each and every one of us, can make a difference. In Ulster County, there is 49,304 individuals registered as organ donors. That's only 33% of our whole population. We can make a difference. As Butch said, New York State is the 48th state out of 50 states on the organ donor list, but the third largest state in need of organ donations. So tonight, you have heard that you can make a difference in somebody's life by being an organ donor, but in actuality, you can do much more than that. Tissue donation by one person, now by one person, can impact 50 lives. Organ donation by one person can impact over 8 lives. That's why through the DMV, we are trying to build awareness for organ donation and allow Ulster County residents, us, people like you and me standing here tonight, to register to give the gift of life. Butch mentioned we had an open house today, and that was to encourage people at the DMV to learn more about organ, eye, and tissue donation and the impact it has on New Yorkers. As we know, April's Donate Life Month, but let me tell you, any one of you can walk into our DMV 12 months a year, and when you renew your driver's license or your non-driving ID, you can have that red heart put on your driver's license. It just means checking a box and signing your signature. But even more than that, you can come in and register your vehicle and still have it put on. You do not have to come in to do a driver's license transaction to register for being an organ donor. And Butch brought up another statistic. 80% of people that register through the DMV. So that's why it's so important for us to get that message out. I just want to speak on one other issue, and that's Governor Cuomo signed a law in effect, which went in effect February 14th of this year. And that law now allows 16 and 17-year-olds, when they come into the DMV, to do their learner's permit, their non-driving ID, or their driver's license, to sign up to be an organ donor. So what that means is that is a whole new group of enrollees that before were not able to register and would not have been able to register at least for 5 years when they turned 21 or 8 years when their license came up for renewal. That gives them the opportunity to sign up as a 16 or 17-year-old and potentially really affect the registry. So tonight, as we raise awareness for Organ Donor Month, I'm inspired by Butch Denner, as I hope each and every one of you are inspired by him. He is a miracle of life among us. is one of the most selfless acts an individual can ever do is to become an organ donor. Know by that act that you have made someone's life, the difference in someone's life, but know more that you have saved a life. Thank you for getting that simple message out. Please tonight, if you walk away with one thing, tell somebody, come into the DMV and register to be an organ donor. Thank you so much.
Nobody better, right? It's awareness. Not only do I want you to sign up, it may be 100 years before we need your organs, please. I'm in no rush. Well, there's a few people I'm in a rush for, but most of them aren't here. But, no, not you, Hector, I love you. But it's awareness. It's not just you folks who I gave the card to tonight said, I'm already a donor. Thank you. Thank God that you're a donor. Please tell the person next to you, please tell your family that you want to be a donor, because sometimes families fight the wishes of the donor, and that hurts the process. And Mary Ellen was talking about the wait. You know, the wait is a desperate time. I had faith. My wife had more faith than I did, but my faith got me through it, and it was a long 8 years. Benedictine, emergency room, and I were very good friends. So when you get the gift of life and you have your health, I have some problems, the side effects of the anti-rejection meds, but it's a walk in the park compared to what I was facing. My granddaughter told me she wants to speak, but before she speaks, our good friend Shana Kay is here. Shana is a director of services for the New York State Center of Donation and Transplant. Before I met Shana and the organization, I used to beg, borrow, and steal the keychains and the other trinkets I have here. And if anybody didn't get a keychain or a bracelet, I got plenty. But now with the help from the Center for Donation and Transplant, it makes it much easier. Shana's going to come here and talk about whatever she talks about. It's wonderful, believe me. So, Shana.
For too long. Turn the mic down a little bit, because everybody else has already shared such wonderful stories, but like Butch said, my name is Shana and I work for the Center for Donation and Transplant. So we are the organ procurement organization that actually works with the hospitals to facilitate organ and tissue donation. So we cover this area. We cover 30 counties in upstate New York and western Vermont and serve about 2.7 million people. But one of the other amazing things that we get a chance to do is work with volunteers to help educate the community, to partner with the county clerks and the DMVs and the legislators and community organizations to raise awareness and support the people who have made that decision and celebrate the gift of life. To me, it's really, donation is about a celebration of life, about leaving a legacy once you pass on that allows your loved ones to celebrate your life, to honor your life, and allow somebody to keep living. So any questions, anything that you might have, any worries that you might have, we're here to educate the community, to facilitate donation transplantation. Last year, because people said yes to donation, either by registering to be donors or by their family consenting on their behalf, 160 people received the gift of life in our service area alone. So that's 160 families that get to celebrate more birthdays. And we had 60 organ donors. So 60 organ donors helped 160 people facilitate and give the gift of life. So imagine what we could do if more people signed up and more people made that decision before their family was burdened with the choice of having to make that decision. So thank you so much for all of your support. The last quick thing, I definitely want you to go in and see Nina to register to be an organ and tissue donor if you haven't already. But on the off chance that you don't make it into the DMV, there are other ways that you can register to be a donor if that's something that you want to do. You can register when you register to vote on your voter registration form. New York State is working up the ranks in terms of how many donors are registered, but we are the first state to have that opportunity to register on the voter registration form on the Donor Life Registry. The other places you can register are in person at a community event. So Butch has probably handed out those handy dandy donor registry cards. You can fill those out, and that's the same exact registry. You can also register on the Health Insurance Exchange here in New York State. So that's a new law as of 2017. And you can register online too. So lots of different opportunities, lots of different ways to start the conversation, and lots of different ways to save lives. So thank you so much.
It's a full agenda, and I appreciate the privilege of the floor. But as a grandfather, I told my granddaughter I'd never say no. So Allison, if you'll indulge me, she would like to make a speech. And she flew 3,000 miles. So.
We gather here today to honor Butch Denner and the Donate Life organization. It saved his life, and if it weren't for the Donate Life organization, he wouldn't be alive. Thank you so much, Donate Life organization.
I got nothing else to say. Thank you all. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. God bless you, and may it be 100 years before we need them. And by then, we'll be growing them in a 3D machine anyway. So thank you.
Thank you, Butch. Don't go too far. At this time, I'd like to call up legislators Craig Lopez and Chris Allen, the chair and deputy chair of the Public Health Committee, to make a presentation to Mr. Denner.
All right, thanks, Butch, for coming out. I know you've been doing this for many years. It predates my time here in the legislature, and I have no doubt that you will be coming here and sharing your story for many, many years to come. So, thank you so much for your dedication and the awareness that you promote. It's touched the lives of many, and, we really look forward to you, keep plugging along, staying healthy, and being able to share your story. In the future. And I always, I want to thank you too for always bringing out, other folks to share their story as well. Everybody has a different message, but all the same message at the same time. So, I really appreciate that, and thanks so much. And now, on behalf of the Ulster County Legislature, I'd like to present you with an Ulster County Legislature Legislative Chamber proclamation. It says, whereas giving life to another by donating an organ or a tissue transplant is one of the most selfless human acts that can provide the donor quite inner fulfillment in the knowledge that he or she may one day help save a life, bring joy and hope to another person and their family who depend on the generosity and sacrifice of others. And whereas the Ulster County Legislature, Ulster County, 30% of all residents 16 and older have joined the New York State Donate Life Registry statewide, 25%, and nationally, 52% of the people are registered organ donors. And whereas a person who donates organs, hearts, lungs, livers, kidneys, pancreases, and intestines can save up to 8 lives. A tissue donor, cornea, bone, skin, heart valves, tendons, veins, etc., can improve 12 or more lives by restoring eyesight, fight infection in burn patients, and preventing the loss of mobility and disability. And whereas thanks to the Lawrence Law legislation and new legislation allowing New York State drivers 16 and older to declare if they wish to become an organ donor on their driver's license application instead of opting out by default. And whereas organ transplants in the United States reached a milestone in 2015 exceeding 30,000 for the first time, and nearly 5% more than performed in 2014. And whereas this landmark achievement is a testament to the generosity of the American public to help others through donation and their trust in the transplant system to honor their life-saving gift. And whereas we recognize that our greatest ambassadors for organ and tissue donations our donors, recipients, and families, which is why we honor guests, why our honored guests are here tonight to motivate and inspire others to become donors. Now, therefore, I, Kenneth J. Roth Jr., Chairman of the Ulster County Legislature, do hereby proclaim the month of April as Ulster County Donor Awareness Month.
Very much. If you all don't mind, I'd like to present this to Mary Ellen and her husband, because I've been here before, but I know the guts it took to get here, girl, so thank you. I will bring this over to you. And before I leave, tomorrow is the anniversary of the passing of my friend Levon Helm, who's a friend to everybody in this room. I'm wearing the last waltz tie in his memory, so please play his music tomorrow and think of the boss. God bless you all.
Thank you again, Butch, and thank you to all of his guests this evening. I am thrilled that we have such a large crowd for this month, because we're able to bring even more awareness to this important thing. And if I had my driver's license in my pocket, would show you that I am an organ donor because of Butch's presentation.
And Hugh Reynolds, our illustrious journalist, the man of the word. It took him 10 years to listen to me, but thanks to Ed Diana, not me, we have Hugh Reynolds, and may it be 100 years for you, Hugh. Thank you.
Now it's my great honor to invite Legislator Dave Donaldson to the podium to make a very special presentation to his talented daughter, Deirdre Bradford, in recognition of her photo being selected for the cover of our 2017 County Directory.
Going.
Just move a little more. Just put a little more.
No, I think the first award, she should get an award for having a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old quiet during a 45-minute presentation. And if anybody has children, they know that she deserves that award.
We also think that she should have an award. She should have a medal for being your daughter, Dave.
That is true too. Because you have to understand, my daughter raised me. I did not raise her. When she was 5 years old, she was 5 going on 50. That was her personality. But she's always amazed me. Whether she's being chosen as a Teacher of the Year, or just when she wraps a present for you. When you see a present that she wraps, you don't want to open it. It's a present that looks so beautiful. And you say to yourself, I can't open that. It looks too nice. You want to put it up on someplace and leave it there. But she's always very thoughtful. And of course, I'm very proud of her as a teacher. And even though I want her to be an attorney, because I'm always getting in trouble, but she decided to follow my position. And but anyway, she's made me cry in so many ways. Delaney, she's 2. She just turned 2. And Dylan just turned 4. And her husband, Matt, is a teacher in Middletown. Boy, he's flipping. But anyway, this is the photograph that she presented to the legislature for the directory. And it's a beautiful shot. And I know it had something to do with that Vicky did. She insisted that Deirdre sign one for her. She loves it. She has it in her house hanging up. So we'll present this award to my daughter, Deirdre Bradford, in honor of recognition for your photograph, Apple Time, capturing the beauty and bounty and blessing unique to Ulster County that will grace the cover of the 2017 Ulster County Directory.
I have to say something?
You can say something if you want. It's up to you.
Tell us stories about Dave.
There's just too many.
We don't have enough time for that.
Exactly, we don't have enough time for that. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time today, and I appreciate the choice of my photo. Thank you.
You know what, before they go, let me get a picture of all of you together, because this is too good. Ready? I'll stand over here. There we go. Oh, Grandpa's so interesting. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much to Legislator Donaldson for sharing your daughter with us, and thank you to Deirdre for sharing your gift with all of us. And many people around the county will have that picture in their desk drawers on their desks, and will use it to find important numbers. We will now enter a period that we set aside for public comment. First and foremost, it's my intention for our meetings to be a safe place for everyone, and I mean everyone, has an opportunity to be heard, without threat or intimidation, where everyone is treated with respect. I know most of you will be respectful, but last month, some individuals did not behave appropriately. So just to be clear, I want to state our guidelines up front so there's no confusion. Please let there be no outcries of support or disapproval. That means no hooting and no booing, and please no sign waving. I'm gonna, take 10 seconds right now. Everybody who has a sign, please hold it up so we know how you feel about whatever your sign says. Thank you very much. Please do not address individual legislators or others in the room, and you should know that legislators are not allowed to respond or answer questions. Racially insensitive language, profanity, or name-calling will not be tolerated. Tonight we have 53 people signed up for public comment. Each speaker will be given 2 minutes to address the legislature. Please pay attention to the timekeeper in the back of the room, and when they say your time is up, I'm going to allow a maximum of a 15-second buffer for you to finish up your comments before the microphone will be turned off. You may give any written comments to the clerk or to any of our clerks here, and they'll make sure that they get into the record. If someone's already made a point that you want to make, feel free to tell us that you agree or disagree with a specific resolution and then yield your time. Failure to follow these rules may be resulting in your being escorted out. With that, Victoria, please call the first speaker.
The first speaker tonight will be Amy Fraden, who will be followed by Dennis Arluck.
Thank you for allowing me to speak. One of the hats that I wear is that of interfaith minister, and as such, the spiritual aspect of a situation tends to be of great import to me. I am extremely passionate about the memorializing resolutions. When we get married and committed, we make vows to each other. They are the glue and the tools that sustain our marriage. For a marriage to thrive, we must come back to them often. Once married, we have to deal with all sorts of logistics, picking up children from school, paying bills, buying houses, etc. How we do this is vitally important to the efficacy of coexisting. But the other more vital and core thing that a marriage needs is the practice of living those vows. If we don't regularly come together to discuss, share, debate, and compromise, we will lose the very intentions, values, goals, and vision that brought us together. And we won't be able to create new ones to reflect the changes that occur over time. Without this process, we may have just an empty shell of a relationship that runs well but has no core. This is what the memorializing resolutions mean to me, to us, and to our democracy. Without such a tool, we are empty and voiceless and not in enough relationship with our government, our elected officials, and our values. At a time when so many citizens are waking up to being involved in what happens with our laws and values, it would be unfair and unwise to take away this part of the process. It is the right thing to do to keep memorializing resolutions. It is not partisan. It is a tool for every citizen and their elected officials in this great democracy. It is an indicator of a great democracy. Please vote no to Resolution Number 91. Thank you very much.
Chairman Rock, Majority Leader Mayo, members of our legislature and fellow citizens. Katie Steinman, police officer Brandon Mendoza, killed by illegal aliens that had been arrested but protected by sanctuary laws in San Francisco and Arizona respectively. It is estimated that of the 20 Americans that are killed every day at the hands of unlicensed drivers, half of those deaths are caused by illegal aliens. You don't hear of this because in our country we have a liberal news media that has blacked out crimes by illegals. Over 15% of our prison population in this country is made up of Mexican citizens here illegally, Cubans, El Salvadorians, Dominicans, and other Central Americans, around that illegal population to 20%. We spend billions of dollars incarcerating Latin American gang members, rapists, murderers, felons of every type, all here illegally. Rape, murder, felony, DWI all goes unreported by our media to protect this agenda. Only when the media knows that they can't hide news like Katie or Brandon's murders do you get the watered down truth. I implore our legislators and our local and city government to reject sanctuary. Put yourself in the shoes of families destroyed by this choice to ignore federal law and giving comfort and aid to criminals. Feel the pain of losing someone you love, knowing your sanctuary caused this loss. Say no to sanctuary. Thank you.
Robert Butler, who will be followed by Alexandra Dahlem.
Hello everyone, and thank you for having me here tonight. My name is Robert Butler, and I'm here on behalf of Marie Schultes and Awareness Inc., which is a peer-to-peer behavioral health substance education program unique to Ulster County. I'm from New York City, a student at New Paltz who just got offered a full-time position working in an underserved high-need school community through a graduate program at New York University. I've both served as a volunteer for Awareness Inc. and have been through the 8-week sequence for getting into trouble myself. And I am extremely grateful for what it has been able to do for me and what I've seen it do for other young adults and adolescents who are there for really a wide range of reasons. I think the big thing that it's striving to do and what it's ultimately accomplishing is that it's helping people of your community at such a crucial, almost a make or break window in their lives and helping them realize and actualize the potential that they really have. When you have a program that brings people together in a way that intervenes in these conflicts people go through at this age, it plants these seeds that gives people hope in doing better for themselves. It's a mutually beneficial program in all ways, from the students who volunteer and gain experience with this kind of service, and even more importantly, it gives those who have overcome their struggles an opportunity to use that and help people who are going through similar circumstances that they overcame. I haven't really experienced a program like this before, and I think it would be something beneficial for this county that will really make it a distinctly good community. Another strength of the program is that participants and volunteers are encouraged to give weekly feedback. I have offered my support to be part of the team to discuss how we can implement these suggestions. When you're helping your people, your youth specifically, you're making one of the best investments in the community. I believe in what Marie's doing as well as the amazing people that I've met through the program. She is a genuinely good person, striving towards genuinely good things, and this is what I believe makes a stronger community. So thank you very much for your time, and I hope you all have a great night.
Alexandra Dahlem.
Hello everyone, my name is Alexandra Dahlem and I'm currently the Volunteer Operations Manager of Awareness Inc., as well as a graduating senior at SUNY New Paltz studying sociology and psychology. I started volunteering at Awareness Inc. my sophomore year after losing my second friend in 3 years to a heroin overdose. I'm originally from Long Island, where both of these friends were also from, and the opioid epidemic is as much an issue there as it is here. After volunteering with the program for so long, I can truly say that I believe my friends would have benefited tremendously from a program like Awareness. They were put on punitive and mandatory programs such as PINS time and time again, but what they were missing, however, was the opportunity to become self-aware and reflective. I've seen the benefits that this can have on kids seriously struggling with substance abuse, as well as every other adolescent who comes through our program regardless of their charge. Not only this, but the fact that Awareness is peer-run makes such a huge difference. Having peer leaders who have been personally touched by addiction, such as myself, or other leaders who have been through the program themselves, creates such a confidential and open environment that these kids might not find anywhere else. In this sense, the kids are gaining so much from having this safe place, and the leaders in turn are building their leadership and listening skills. I believe in the ability of Awareness Inc. to positively impact the lives of adolescents in our community, as well as the capacity to expand and bring the support to other communities in the future. Awareness is truly a unique program with the capacity to change lives and work towards a better future, and I am so proud to be a part of this. Thank you.
Marie Schultes, followed by Laura Patterson.
Thank you all very much for having us, and thank you to Robert and Alexandra for coming tonight and sharing their experiences. I want to thank everyone here for their time, and I really appreciate all that you do in these lengthy meetings. It's really heartwarming to see all of the effort that you put into trying to make our community better. The awareness program is here asking for your help because we need some clarification about last year's funding. If someone would be willing to sit down and help us understand what we can do to obtain the funding and that we were approved for last year, part of which is to give a small compensation to the peer leaders and administration and to enable the program to continue and expand, hopefully beyond Ulster County. We are open for all youth in the county. We are based in New Paltz, and we have separate programs for high school students ages 16 to 18, and then for 18 and over. And in the light of the heroin epidemic, we also are helping kids who are struggling that are even as up to age 30s, and we connect them with youth that are in long-term recovery and have meetings prior to AA meetings, and they invite them to attend with them. So if anyone has any questions for us, we'd be happy to help, and we hope you have a great night. Thank you for your time.
Susan Zimmett.
For a point of information, Susan Zimmett is also a former member of this body, so welcome back, Susan.
Thank you. It's nice to see you. I see Kenny all the time at the cafeteria in Albany, so it's difficult to see you here. Anyway, hi, it's really wonderful to be back and see so many friendly faces and new faces sitting in my seat and whatever. But no, it's great, wonderful, it's good to see you. So anyway, memorializing resolutions I know have been pretty controversial over the course of a long time. Sometimes they're really political, sometimes, they're problematic, but I just want to touch on two cases where they really made a major difference. Both have to actually do with depleted uranium. One has to do with the fact that we had found out that depleted uranium was being transported on trains coming, from Albany and down and around through a lot of our towns, but they weren't marked with a radioactive plaque. So when a train actually derailed and there was an accident, our first responders right here in Ulster County would respond, but they didn't know that there was radioactivity on the train. So we asked Art Snyder to basically look into this and see if what I was being told was true. He called FEMA down in Washington, he called the state. He couldn't get any straight answer. He came back to the legislature and basically said, this is really important, we really need to do this. So we did a memorializing resolution basically asking for the federal government to put placards on the trains that show it's radioactive. It did get covered in the press, and Chuck Schumer's chief of staff had seen it, and he was a first responder and a county legislator in a different county. So he called me up, I gave him all of the information, and basically they passed it in his county, and then Chuck Schumer took it up. So Chuck Schumer took up this issue, and Chuck Schumer actually got legislation changed in Washington DC, where they now put placards on the train, so God forbid there's ever an accident, our first responders know to go to that place in the proper protocol that they need to have when they go to a radioactive incident. Before, what would happen is they'd show up, they would be dealing with the train accident, and then the national people, the federal people would come in all their uniforms and stuff, and we were exposing our guys. That was a time when it was just Ulster County doing one memorializing resolution that actually changed federal law for the good of our first responders. Another time too, this legislator
Please wrap up your comments.
Sure,
Okay.
voted unanimously on another one for depleted uranium that had to do with our veterans coming back from Iraq, and they were they were having deformed babies and whatever. Anyway, we did a memorializing resolution here, asking for the state government to test and treat our soldiers when they came back. And we passed it, and it got passed in Albany. Pataki signed it into law.
Thanks, Susan.
They do have value. Thank you.
The next speaker is Kale Kapashlin, followed by Lori Osmond.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kale Kapashelin. I have lived here in Kingston since 2000. I'm a local business owner of a company called Evolving Media Network. We employ 11 people. And I spent a huge amount of my time as part of my job, but also just in the community, working on a number of projects at the Stockade Football Club, Hudson Valley Tech Meetup, the O Positive Festival, and a conference called the Catskills Conf. The reason I do all of these things is to create projects that are accessible to many members of our community. When we build a project together, that is what community development looks like. Democracy is the largest group project that any of us have, and as leaders and community members participating in democracy, I believe that we need to create the most accessible democracy possible. If you ban memorializing resolutions, you are essentially saying to the public that you do not want their participation in democracy. And at a time when we need participation more than ever, you're making the opposite statement to our community. I want you to take that very seriously, the message that you're sending to our community members, and also the message that you're sending about our community members, about the way in which we collaborate in democracy and in our community. Thank you.
Hi, thank you for all you do and thank you for your time. My name is Laurie Osmond and I am currently the Vice President of the Onteora School Board. I have been on the Onteora board for 9 years now. And I wanted to make note that over the course of my time on the board, there have been several occasions where we have done memorializing resolutions, as have other school boards in Ulster County, most recently opposing the nomination of Betsy DeVos for her stance against what we felt was against public schools and public school education. So I'm here to encourage you to vote no on the prohibition of memorializing resolutions, because this is a very important way for us to have discussion as a community, for us to air the views of our constituents. And I've been doing this for 9 years, and I'm an unpaid elected official, and I will find the time to do these, to discuss and to vote and to compose these memorializing resolutions, often in tandem with other school districts, because as Susan Zimmett pointed out, very often this is the beginning of something bubbling up that becomes something larger. So there should be really no form of communication off limits when it comes to expressing the views of the constituents and also just discussing issues that really affect all of our daily lives. So thank you.
James Halloran, followed by Ross McPhee.
Hi, James Halloran. I'm a 25-year active interior firefighter with the Conoco Fire Department. I've been...
Use the microphone, Mike.
Okay.
Pull it towards you. You can pull it towards you.
Okay. I'm an active interior firefighter with Conoco Fire Department. I've been past captain 5 years and a lieutenant. And I'm here to talk about the fire training center that is located in my neighborhood. I don't expect you all to see it, but at any rate, this is a map, and those red dots are houses. situated across from those red dots is the site that they want to use. Now, I went to a Ways and Means Committee last week and Energy and Conservation meeting. And what I found out was two things. One, half the legislators didn't seem to know that the site was down the road from the college. And two, that Dennis Doyle's favorite word is mitigate. What we're finding is this is just a totally inappropriate spot, that it's it's R1, residential. And what they're proposing to put in there is a 4-story fire training tower, administration building, etc. It's also to be utilized by the police department for training and EMT. And as a firefighter, I can tell you, when do I practice? On Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night, and Saturday. And when are we on our at our homes on those evenings and on those weekends? And we would be looking at 30-ton trucks, because the disadvantage of this site, I am all for, and I will work to try to find a site that has water. There's no water there. You would prefer to have a draft site where you could shoot deck guns, and since we don't have fire hydrants in the county, that's primarily how we do it. Before you send a firefighter into a burning building, you have to establish a water source. And this is just, even though it sounds like a lot of land, a third of it is swamp, a third of it is hill, and there's just this little bit of flat land in there. No room to expand. Me, I would like to think big. I'd like to have a heliport there for medevacs.
Please wrap up your comments.
I'd like to have a heliport there for medevacs, et cetera, make it bigger and better, and thank you.
Thank you.
My neighbors from Conoco, please, from Stonebridge, thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ross McPhee. I'm a curator of mammals at the Natural History Museum in New York City. I know something about environments. I'm a neighbor of the last speaker, and I want to bring up the question of water. Water is something we should all care about. This training facility is going to be positioned over one of the major aquifers in the area, called the School Aquifer. Stone Ridge, the town of, is seated right in the middle of it. I am not, absolutely not, against the idea of a training facility. It would be a great thing. But why does it need to be on top of the major aquifer in the immediate area? This makes fundamentally no sense to me. There are other places. The Ways and Means Committee was introduced to some of them, and it's clear from the backgrounder that we were presented with as a member of the public that there are other places to look at. It makes no sense to me why you would want to put a facility like this in an R1 area. And for that reason, I hope that legislators here pay attention to the environmental report that they're eventually going to get on this area and put it in the perspective of, would you like something like this next to you? Thank you.
Andrea Callen, followed by Andrew Court. Andrea Callen. Andrew Court.
Thank you. I would like to ask that you consider very strongly voting against this ban on memorializing proclamations. And the reason I would like you to vote against this is that real change, real growth in a community, real improvement in the lives of people in a community starts with new ideas. It starts with people coming forth with new ideas, with their concerns, their needs, their wishes, and people discussing them and perhaps refining them through discussion and debate and coming up with some really good ways of doing things. And if you come up with those ideas and make